Hi everyone, how's it going? It's me, Alexei Novitzky, and today I'd like to read you one of the philosophical discussions stemming from the infinite pool of experience and awareness. This section is called A Shift in Natural Selection. Most people are familiar with the process of natural selection. It is the idea that living beings, plants, animals, bacteria, and etc., that are best suited for the environment have the most chance of surviving long enough to produce fertile offspring. Therefore, although the individual creature may perish, the species continues to thrive. Slight changes in features over time could be considered evolution. Using the theory of evolution, which has much scientific data to support it, we may say that humans have changed over millions of years to become the dominant species that we see today. Natural selection is apparent in all species and is rather peculiar when it comes to humans. The survival of all species depends on their ability to successfully interact with their environment. There has been a shift in the focus of mate selection due to modern technology and infrastructure. Natural focus. The earliest of humans did not have the luxuries of today's modern society. We may have scurried in bushes like animals looking for food on a daily basis. Remember, although we think we are different, we do inhabit animal bodies. The idea of refrigeration and preservatives did not exist. Air-conditioned homes and proper plumbing did not exist. At this moment in history, humans could not read nor do math because mathematics and scripture had yet to be invented. Humans were at their most primitive state, completely unaware of the self. At this time, survival was an instinct. It was common sense. It did not require thought because it was natural. Emotion or spiritual energy controlled their every action, and the conscious mind was empty. Humans hunted and gathered their food. Farming did not yet exist. People traveled the earth according to the changing seasons and food supply. This is a time when human survival depended on physical strength and intuitive notion. Humans were pure because their minds were unaware of the self. Cognitive thought was not beneficial in most situations. Times were rough, and to have a clear mind meant survival. The force empowering all human action was purely spiritual and instinctual. Natural selection and evolution were governed by human strength, the ability to find food, and the ability to care for children. Primitive speculations. Let's now quickly speculate on the societal demands of the early humans mentioned above. We may only speculate because it is a time long lost. A child would be born into the world, whether a boy or girl. It would most likely have nursed from its mother. The child would then have learned from its elders and its surroundings on how things work. Encounters with biting insects and interactions with other humans would have shaped it into the being it became. For a woman, her purpose would have been to have babies and then ensure the success of their survival. For a man, his purpose would have been to make sure she has everything she needs in order to properly care for the children. This could imply supplying her with shelter and food. Neither male or female had to go to school, be expected to get straight A's, win sporting competitions, be a supermodel, a rock star, a lawyer, or a doctor. They weren't concerned about making millions of dollars because money was of no significance. These duties had no importance in early human life because they did not exist. These positions of power, achieved successes, and wealth have all been created over the years by man. They have all come into being by trying to create structured environments in which to grow, almost like a human zoo. Advanced technology blossoms. Over time, a shift in natural selection has occurred. This shift has been gradually accelerating since the advent of technology. Primitive technologies such as spears and fire may be the precursor to all modern technology, from air conditioning to nuclear bombs. Early fire was used to keep people warm, ward off animals, and give us light at night. Our primitive fire has been replaced by air-conditioned dwellings that have electricity to give us light and walls to keep out animals. Our spears and stones have been replaced by guns and grenades. Spears and stones require much more training and mastery to achieve desired results. Weapons like fully automatic machine guns take very little physical strength to gain power and cause serious harm. This is where society is today, a place where a child with a fully automatic machine gun has more power over someone who has developed their intuitive notion over a lifetime. All the child must do is pull a trigger and our super developed human is gone. It takes years upon years of training to achieve levels of extreme athletic ability and intuitive notion. It takes an entire lifetime of dedication to effectively care for children and support others while on the hunt for food. Most people today have lost these ideals that fulfill our true nature and inner spirit. Again, this goes back to the advent of money and technology. Creation of leisure time. What does technology do for us? It creates leisure time. Leisure time can be a blessing or a curse. What people choose to do with it can either be constructive or destructive. Constructive activities include building relationships and long-lasting bonds, helping others, and ensuring the survival of not only the earth, but the universe as well. Destructive activities could be fighting, violence, and activities that might inadvertently have negative effects on the world. These activities aren't always intentionally meant to be negative, but are destructive because of the nature of the influence that initially caused it. Greed, jealousy, lust, anger, and other selfish human emotions may cause people to inadvertently have destructive behaviors. A man on the mountain. The man with the most money and wealth is now the most fit to survive. He has no real obligation or duty and has 100% leisure time. He may buy armored vehicles and security guards to protect him at all cost. With the blink of an eye, he may have exotic foods delivered to the top of the highest mountains. He has the best doctors available and has many loves. He will live a long life. This man is the alpha male of the man-made race. A man with no money is seen as poor. He begs for money to buy food, and the underpass is his home. He is regarded as dirty, lazy, and maybe even considered by some as the filth of human society. He too, with no real obligation, has 100% leisure time. Money equals food. Humans have now evolved to rely on money more than food and survival techniques. It is obvious that money can buy food. If you are hungry, then you go to the store and you buy food. It no longer takes any physical ability or strength to buy sufficiently supply food for your family. Natural selection now favors the wealthy and not the wise. This trend has been around for at least the last 2,000 years. If you say a new generation of humans is born every 20 years, then you can easily see that the last 100 generations of humans have been born with money being the driving factor for mate selection. If you assume that humans have been around for at least 100,000 years, then you see that many more generations have been born with natural instincts and intuitive notion as the driving force for mate selection. It is obvious that a shift in human spirit is occurring. A shift in spirit. This shift can most easily be seen in the case of human religions. Before this, we must understand the relationship between a monetary society and technology. Technology has given us free time to create man-made infrastructures which ultimately create wealth and disparities. For example, the monetary system, schools, government programs such as Social Security, transportation systems, media, communication systems, power grids, waste disposal, etc., may all be considered man-made infrastructures. Every one of these systems has been designed to create more free time in one way or another. Money made trade easier, schools made becoming educated easier, and etc. However, the ultimate outcome over many generations may be destructive. Obligations and physical duties that are not natural to humans are now being forced upon all of society. If you do not follow these structures, you will be imprisoned and regarded as a quack or bum. So it is obvious, through the creation of leisure time, that forced infrastructures now control our lives. Even before you are born, a general path of life has been laid out for you. You will most likely be born into a hospital and stay there for a couple days. You will grow up, go to school, get a job, get married, have children. At night, you're supposed to watch TV and then sleep in air-conditioned homes. The focus of the human spirit has shifted. Most people now focus on living up to standards previously mentioned. You must own a car, TV, internet, all that fun stuff. Human focus is now controlled by science, technology, wealth, and other man-made infrastructures. Human focus has shifted from being purely instinctual to now being dominated by man-made infrastructure. This has a dramatic effect on the human spirit, which has a direct negative effect on the way people treat each other. This may be related to one's spiritual beliefs, whether in favor of science or traditional religion. Science may be considered mankind's attempt to quantify the known world. It is a way of categorizing phenomenon and using experimental evidence to create desired results. Faith, beliefs, and good intentions have no place in scientific exploration, and in this modern scientifically dominated society. The continuation of focusing on materialistic creations will not allow for the gaining of conscious density. It is similar to bouncing off conscious atmosphere when considering the orbit through conscious density in relationship to ascension through time. Science versus faith. The human spirit has been the dominating force for mate selection up until the advent of modern technology. This spirit is one that believed in faith, something greater than the self, and that there's more to the world than the eye can see. From this primitive spirit came traditional religions such as Buddhism, Christianity, and etc. All these religions basically have the same message. Love your fellow human and be a servant to the world. Be humble and love. None of them preach ambitious causes like war, presidential elections, alpha dog syndrome, etc. Those are all modern focuses created by man-made infrastructures which are now the dominating spirit of mate selection. From this spirit came science and the theory of evolution. These concepts now rule the human spirit and are having an overall negative impact on the quality of life. Strides towards earlier methods of natural selection are of great importance. However, it is also important to carry the positive results from these last 100 generations. A new spirit will emerge. It is impossible to instantly jump from one method of selection to another. It is not even feasible to consider jumping back to natural instincts being the deciding factor for human growth. We must not believe science has all the answers. Instead, we must learn to combine the two driving forces of mate selection. We must combine what we have learned from our modern scientific spirit with our prehistoric natural spirit. You cannot teach a worm politics, and you definitely cannot fully explain the universe with all of its mysteries, life and death, through quantifications.